Today on this episode of The Basement, I'm actually going to take a little bit of a departure of my typical bass themed stuff. And I'm actually going to be building a PA for our meetings and events department at my job. So they have been needing this equipment for a long period of time. They finally decided that, hey, renting this for each event that they go to from the hotel or whatever venue that they're at, which is simply not cost effective. And within, essentially 2 events, with having their own gear, it would have actually paid for itself compared to what they were paying in rental. So me being the person that I am, I happily volunteered to source the equipment and put it together for them. So I'm going to capture that. So I'm going to unpack all the goodies that we got, and then we'll start putting it together, and hopefully through the magic of editing, we'll get it done really, really quick and get to testing it. So let's get started. Okay, first and foremost, I think it's kind of a tease to whoever packed these microphones in this mixer in a box the size of a bass guitar box and sent it to me. That's kind of a cruel joke. So, Sweetwater, unless you're sending me a guitar, don't send me a product in a guitar box. This is kind of... I wonder if there is a guitar in here. I doubt it. This is going to be the brains and the heart of the entire operation. This is the Behringer XR12, which is the smaller little brother to the XR18 that I currently use for basically all my recording here at the basement. So this I'm starting to get really, really familiar with, so this is a great unit. I think it's going to work really well for me. Alright, so here we have the WL185. This is the lavalier cardioid condenser mic. This is going to be used for most of the main facilitators at these meetings and events. I think this is going to do a great job for them. This gives them about a 300-foot range from the rack-mounted receiver, so this is going to do a great job for them. So also in the box, we've got a pair of wireless SM58s. If you're a musician at all, a vocalist at all, you know this microphone, you know it very well. You just can't go wrong with a wireless SM58. So we got a pair of those as well for a total of 4 microphones, 2 lavaliers, 2 wireless handhelds. Let's see what else we got in the box. Alright, so next up we've got a Furman Merit series. This is the M8X2. I've actually got 2 different versions of these in my own racks here at the basement. I've got one in my Geigen Kruger RB700 Mark II, and then my main rack that's got everything underneath my desk. I use this exact same unit. I've had them for years. They're essentially bomb-proof. They don't eliminate all noise. They're not a true, super high-end power conditioner, but they definitely will protect the investment here from power surges and keep a lot of the low-level ground lift type of noise out of the signal chain. Okay, we've pretty much got everything out of the boxes at this point, so I'm going to be using my makeshift workbench, i.e. my early 90s PV118 Black Widow. Well, we've got, for cable management, we've got the Sweetwater Pro cables. These are just short XLR cables. I believe these are made by Proco. So these are going to do the job for the cables connecting all these wireless microphones straight to the Behringer XR12. So, the one box I didn't unpack yet is probably the most important. It's what's going to house everything. And this box I'm a little concerned about. Looks like FedEx beat it up pretty good. We've got tears in it. I was hearing rattles going on, so I'm a little concerned about this box. But this is going to be an 8-unit road case for this gear. And I'm already thinking I may have made a mistake because I know all of these rack mount units are fairly shallow and I don't necessarily need something quite this deep. But let's see how well this Gator 8-unit road case actually survived this horribly destroyed box. Now, this is cool. I love these side mount handles that you can grab. So this is the Gator Pro Series. This is their 8-unit rack case. It sounds like we got a silica gel pack that has exploded inside. This is cool because you can open it from front or back. It did survive pretty well, just a couple of scratches where the cardboard broke. Yeah, there's a big gouge here. So I'm not worried, but then again, this is something that this company is investing in, so I need to see if they're going to be okay with it. All right. So inside we've got all the hardware, and what I'm hearing rattle around is just like a little bunch of plastic shavings, which is kind of weird. Well, this is weird. I don't know if you can see that on camera because as soon as I angle it, it slides down. So this kind of sucks. Gator, what the heck, man? Were you like using a router or something to shave the eyes off? This is a pain in the butt. I'm gonna have to shop vac this out. Alright, so I've got everything powered up for the very first time. I've got nothing really talking to each other yet. I've got to install software on whatever laptop that my friend the events coordinator is going to use to control this mixer. Then I've also got to test and pair all the microphones. Now, I've already got my laptop, which is used to running one of these. I'll hook it up with an Ethernet cable, test everything, get it configured, and do a mic check. So I'm not doing any of the cable management until I test everything first to make sure I've got it wired up correctly. Once I'm happy with how everything's performing, then I'll tighten up all the cable management in the back. So the first part of this episode was really debating on whether or not this case is too big. Honestly, I think it is too big. If I had to do this over again, I would have got a shallower rack case and probably with 2 fewer rack spaces. So instead of an 8-unit, I probably would have gone with a 6-unit just to maximize its portability. So before I decided to make that call and potentially send this rack case back, I decided I'd see if I could make better use of the space that I do have and make it worth it to keep this larger rack case. So I've got a couple components that I went and talked to my IT department at work and see if I could take some things from a server that they were dismantling and replacing and upgrading. So one of the things I got is just this blank plastic one rack unit thing that they use for cable management for a network server. So this plastic is kind of ugly, it's not all that great looking, but I think it'll be way better than this gap right here. So I think that'll fit in nicely and help with a little bit of the cable management. These flanges on the back are actually really good at managing which way the cable is going to route in. So you can go like down from wherever it is and then across and then back in and out through the hole here. So I think it'll be pretty cool. What I'm really excited about is this drawer. So this is a 2 rack space drawer, and what this will allow us to do is to put the microphones, obviously the lavalier mics with the packs, and I've actually ordered on Amazon a battery charger and 8 rechargeable batteries. So that's enough to power both handheld mics and both lavalier packs. And I'm going to hardwire the charger inside of this drawer and have basically everything be self-contained. So that may make it worth keeping the 8 rack unit deal. Again, it's not the best for compactness in my opinion, because we could get a little bit smaller, probably about 6 inches shallower from front to back and at least 4 inches shorter from top to bottom. But having everything self-contained in here with this drawer is probably going to make it worth keeping that 8 rack space unit. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started putting these in. Alright, well that's definitely a lot cleaner than it was before. Last thing I have to do is to figure out how to deal with this power cord. And what I did is I put a little strip of Velcro on the inside of here. And basically the idea is the extra fuzzy side on this cord wrap should stick to that Velcro and keep this cord nice and neat as well. So let's test to see if that works. And then we'll make sure everything works after having disconnected all the cables and reconnecting them. Make sure I don't have any issues to troubleshoot. Alright, so I'm making sure I leave some fuzzy, and it sticks. So I'm happy with that. We'll spin this thing around and make sure it still works. Alright, so we're just about finished with this build at this point. I just have a few finishing touches to do. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to install a battery charger for the AA batteries for both the wireless handheld mics as well as the lavalier receiver packs. And I want to label everything. So I printed up some labels at the office to not only label the different inputs on the rack, but also the cables themselves, and then of course the microphones. I want to make this as user friendly as possible, because the folks that are going to be running this equipment are actually, let's just call it what it is, they're way more novice than even I am at this type of stuff. So I want to make this as user friendly as possible. Alright, so I've got a couple of different ways I can cut these out. I can do them with scissors, or I can do them with an X-Acto blade and a straight edge. I'm probably going to do a mixture of both. I've got 2 separate sizes of labels. I've got some that are slightly larger. I think this is like an 11-point font. This is going to go on the actual receiver packs as well as the cables and the microphones. And I've got some smaller 8 or 9-point font that's going to go on the actual mixer itself, and I think that's where I'm going to get started. So I think I'm going to try these with scissors first and then kind of go from there. Alright, so I'm back. The foam that I bought to line the drawers with is in. So I ordered a 6-foot by 2-foot piece of, this is supposedly acoustic foam. This came vacuum sealed in a bag. It's supposed to be 1 inch thick. It's still expanding. It's been out of the box, laying out flat for about 3 hours now. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it up and stick it in the drawer, and I'll probably line the inside of the doors with this foam as well, especially the front door to protect the cables, as I want to be able to transport this without having to unplug everything. Even though I labeled everything perfectly, I want to make sure that those cable ends are protected. I don't want them breaking off inside the mixer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and measure up the inside of the drawer, start making some cuts, and then I'll trim for the individual elements that are going inside the drawer on the second layer. I'll basically put a layer of foam underneath, then cut the exact same dimensions, stack it on top, trace out the microphones, the receiver packs, the battery charger, and whatever cables I'm going to store in there. I'll cut out slots for those, set that back on top of the base piece, and then stick the microphones and all the accessories inside the holes that I just cut. So I've never done this before. Just like just about everything I do on this channel, I'm trying for the first time, so hopefully this goes well. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is going to wrap it up for this build on this Presenter's PA system. I've had a lot of fun putting this thing together. I love to geek out on gear and things like that, so this has been a fun experience putting something like this together. I think this is going to do exactly what my company needs it to do from a meeting and events standpoint. We've actually got the very first use case for this rig coming up next Tuesday, so I'm actually really happy to see this thing go through its paces. I think we did a really good job with a lot of attention to detail to make this very user-friendly for even a novice and beginner user that's ultimately going to be responsible for running this rig going forward. So with that, if you found this video at all useful or entertaining, please like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who might find some benefit to this. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. This is Brian from the basement. We'll see you on the next episode.